Welcome to the Vincent Ford Podcast. Do you ever wonder how some people achieve that perfectly sculpted look without appearing overdone? So they have the perfect placed contour, bronzer, and blush. What I'm going to do on this episode is I'm going to break down and how you can use these three things to define and enhance your features. What I want to focus on is really talking about breakdown of formulas. I also want to talk about application techniques and, of course, going to give you product recommendations and also myth debunking because I love to do that. And this isn't just about adding color. This is about creating structure, creating balance, and giving that illusion of light and shadow on the face. So for the first thing I think that's actually one of the most important is what formulas are you choosing to do any of this? So when I'm talking about bronzer, contour, or blush, are you using a cream, a liquid, or a powder? Now, creams are all the rage right now. I think they're very popular because when you have mature skin that tends to be dry, people love it. But even younger people like it because it's just so easy to blend, it's seamless, and it just gives you a natural finish. It doesn't look overdone. Especially sometimes I'll get cream and blushes, for example, and the colors look so intense, and then you can blend them out and they look really soft, and it gives you the opportunity to use colors you maybe wouldn't have used maybe in a powder. But powders are really great, especially if you have oily and combo skin, if you want longevity, you want them to last. They are also good to build up intensity. So if you really want that punch of color or even a deeper contour or more bronze look, the powders are really great for layering and building intensity. And they also provide a matte finish. So if you tend to prefer a matte finish, especially when you're talking about contour, maybe you want a matte bronzer look without the shimmer, then powders are going to be your formula. And then liquids. Liquids are a little bit more hydrating. They don't have as much pigment as I think a cream or a powder does, but they give you that kind of fresh, dewy, like your best hydrated, youthful skin look. Especially liquid blushes. There are some liquid bronzers that I like using, but there's not as many. But the liquid blushes are just so perfect for that everyday, really fresh look. And don't forget that you can layer. So if you want longevity, you're going to wear it all day into the evening, maybe start with a cream, then, or even a liquid, and then set it with the powder. And that's going to build the intensity even more. You can mix opposite color tones. So, like a cool tone blush and a warm, a cool liquid blush and a warm powder blush will give you a really interesting look. So layering the different formulas work really well. Now, for product recommendations, for cream, I really love the NARS Cream Blush in Orgasm. So their creams are called multiples. And the Orgasm shade is just so universally flattering, and it's perfect if you want that natural flush look. If you want something more liquid, I really like the Rare Beauty, the soft pinch liquid blushes. They're just known for being lightweight. The color is buildable, but the colors are just so beautiful and just so approachable. They're not like too crazy of a color. They're very just like the colors you would find in most blushes. And then if you want another kind of creamy one, I like the e.l.f. Putty Blush. So it's the more affordable option, and it has a creamy texture, and it just blends effortlessly. Now, when we're talking about placement is important as the formula. So placement is going to really help you figure out how do you want to structure your face. If you don't know your face shape, there's lots of apps that even, I know there's some tools on TikTok, for example, and Instagram that allow you to, place your face under the filter, and it will show you exactly what face shape you are. But knowing your face shape, and remember, not everyone is one face shape. You could be a mix. You could be, like round with square or oval with heart shape. So really knowing your face shape's important because it's going to help you figure out how you're going to apply your contour. So if you have more of a round face and you feel like you want to slim it down, apply the contour in what I call a V contour. So you're going to start from the top of the ear, and instead of going in, so when we contour, we go from the outside of the face in to the inside, either angled or straight. With a round face, I like to almost go straight down. So almost go from the top of the ear down to where the chin is. So imagine you're creating a V on the bottom half of your face and then blend backwards towards the hairline. This is going to give you the most slimming effect. If you're more oval, which is the sought after shape, oval, it's best to just enhance your natural cheekbones. So just start from, actually, this is really good, is sometimes people don't know where's the best place to start. Start from the opening of the ear and then contour in. The opening of the ear is just that perfect place because most people's cheekbone, I actually haven't met anyone whose cheekbones don't sit right in this area. If you just find that opening of the ear, looking in the mirror, your cheekbone is just right above that. So placing the contour there is going to be really good. If you want to lift, you can place it a little bit higher on top of the cheekbone so that you're not applying the color too low, and it's going to give you more of a lift. And then if you have a heart-shaped face, so you're more rounded at the top, pointing your chin, apply the contour lightly, but start kind of from that opening of the ear and go straight. So don't do an angle like the V contour. Don't go down like a normal, if you're slimming and adding structure, go straight. It's going to widen your face and it's going to balance the top and bottom half of your face. Now, when it comes to contour, there's a few that I really like using. If you want something really easy and you don't have a lot of brushes, the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Contour Wand is brilliant for that because it has the brush sponge built in. You can open it, dab it where you need to blend. So it's easy to apply and it's super blendable. If you want something a little bit more creamy, the Fenty Matchstick, they have these matte contour sticks and they come in so many shades, and this is really great, especially if you have deeper skin or maybe warmer skin tones. They just have so many more options. And then for something more affordable, I really like the NYX Professional Wonder Stick. So they're affordable, they're dual-ended, and they have a highlighter on the other end. Now, what is the right way to layer these? So when you're talking about blush, bronzer, and contour, remember that you want to add structure. So the contour is really there to almost change the bone structure of your face. So think about the bones being underneath. The color is your blush, which is going to sit on top, which is your skin. And then if you want to then add bronze, you can I like to apply this on top of that because then it just blends everything seamlessly. So what I like to do is contour first. So it establishes that depth, that bone structure. Then you can do blush, which is going to give you that flush. It's going to, really add the color story to the look. And then bronzer is going to add warmth to the areas where the sun naturally hits, and this is going to blend everything together. Now, for contour, if you want kind of something that's contour and bronzer together, Patrick Ta does a Major Sculpt cream contour and powder bronzer. They're duos, and they combine contour and bronzer into one product, which is really good. So you just have that ready to go. I also like the Benefit Cosmetics, the Hoola Matte Bronzer. I mean, it's like the OG bronzer that everyone has, that little box. But it just works on so many skin tones and is really great. And then if you want something a little bit more affordable that is super easy to blend, especially for mature skin, the Milani Baked Blushes are really beautiful because they're baked, so they just blend, baked products started as a cream and then they bake them down to a powder. So they are really easy to blend, and they're actually my preference if I'm using a powder type product on a mature skin. Now, I want to go through some common mistakes and how to fix them. So the first one is applying too much product. Imagine you're applying too much bronzer, too much contour, too much blush. The best way to fix it is actually with a loose translucent powder. So I think I actually have a video of this on my Instagram. If you put too much blush on and it just looks really heavy, what you can do is take a loose translucent powder and start pressing it on with a powder puff or even a brush that's quite dense. And what this is going to do is going to diffuse the color, so it's going to soften it. It's also going to lighten it. I do this all the time if I'm on set and they're like looking at the model on the monitor and they say, oh, she's the blush is too intense, I don't have time to wipe it off and redo it. This is such a great technique. So if you are in the situation where you feel like you maybe have put too much on, loose powder works really well. And then the next one is you pick the wrong undertone. So imagine you put a blush on and it looks really vibrant. The reason why is it's probably the opposite undertone. This is actually a really great way depending on where you're going, because if you have a more natural look and your pink undertone, pinkier blushes are going to look natural, but a peach blush is going to really pop and stand out. That's not always necessarily bad, because you might have an evening event where you really want to have that pop of color. So choosing the undertone of your blush is going to really help you figure out if it's more natural or if it's going to give you more drama. And so the same thing, if you're warm undertone, you pick peach, it's going to look really natural. But if you put like a violet pink blush on, it's going to be more vibrant. But if you find that maybe it's just not blending, you want something more natural, find your undertone of your skin and then either keep your blush cool or warm depending on what you're doing. Now, harsh lines, not blending. I think this is something I see a lot, especially with contour, is that you get that harsh line on the cheeks especially. Make sure that you are applying light layers. So you're not just putting two giant stripes of cream contour and then expecting it to blend out perfectly. Start soft, put a little bit on your brush, pat out the rest on a tissue at the back of your hand, and then slowly buff it in. Circular motions work really well to build it up to the intensity that you like, and this is going to help that. Now let's go through some myth busting, because I actually like doing this. So let's see what's actually true. First one is bronzer is just for summer. And I say big false. The reason why is bronzer is something that, of course, in the summer we look more bronze, but it's a product that I love using all year round, because it's so easy to, especially in the winter when you seem very pale, to just add a little bit of color back to the face and brings more life into the face. So I definitely think that bronzer can be used all year round, but maybe you need to use a lighter shade. So one that I really like is the NARS bronzing creams and powders. They come in so many shades. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it comes in almost 8 shades now. But there's something that you can go a little bit lighter and maybe use that in the winter, and then the summer, late spring, you go into more of your deeper bronzers. Okay, the next myth is contouring is only for special occasions. Well, this one, I don't know if it's false or true, but I think it's more about what time you have to do your makeup. So I think subtle contouring can enhance your daily makeup. So maybe it's not about doing the whole cream contour placement, all that. Maybe it's about finding that powder contour. And I think Anastasia Beverly Hills does some powdered ones, including some palettes. And she has these colors that are really great. They're more neutral, but those are really good if you just want to add a quick right on your cheekbone, add your blusher out the door. So it's definitely something you can do on an everyday basis, but I would leave the heavier contour looks for evening looks and special occasions. And then the last myth I wanted to cover is that blush makes you look older. Well, it could be true, because you could be placing your blush too low, which is dragging your face down. It also could be true because a lot of times when people, as they age, they lose the fullness on their cheeks. And the fullness on your cheeks, you always see people contouring their blush, but maybe it's all about placing the blush on the apples of your cheeks to add that roundness and fullness back. So don't always think that what you did when you were younger, the way you applied your blush, is the same way that you do it when you get older. Find where you want to add the fullness, the pop of color. Make sure you're lifting. You're also adding it in these areas that you've lost a little bit of fullness, and it's going to give you still that youthful look. And then obviously products that you choose, the formula I spoke about earlier, liquids, especially on mature skin, look really beautiful and add a little bit of glow. So makeup is really about enhancing your natural beauty. So really experiment with different products and techniques to really figure out what is it that flatters your unique features. Don't always think that it's about following a trend or following a technique just because someone else did it. It's really about finding the techniques, the formulas, the products that work for you. And also remember, I've just talked about contour, blush, bronzer. You don't need them all. Don't think because everyone talks about it or they do these steps that 1, 2, 3 that you have to do all 3. Do the ones that suit you. If you have naturally great cheekbones, don't contour. If you have a little bit of a red flush to your face, maybe just bronzer and contour is all you need. So find out what works best for you, and you are going to look your best. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.